The American flag. The Statue of Liberty. The Lincoln Memorial. And of course, Harborough Auto. The Dynasty Podcast is brought to you by Harborough Auto. Winner of the 2014 Dealer of the Year Award, Harborough Auto has a glorious inventory of certified pre-owned cars and trucks. Stop dicking around. Do your duty as an American citizen and check out Harborough Auto today.
It's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, sexuational. This is what we call the Dynasty Podcast.
Welcome to episode number 9 of the Dynasty Podcast. I'm Commissioner Eric Costanza, and co-hosting with me, I'm very thrilled and excited about this. It's Coach of the Rockdalian Senators himself. He is the Dynasty Ethics Manager, Coach Will DeYoung. Will, hello. How are you?
I'm doing great, Eric. I'm psyched to be here today.
It's great to have you. You along with Coach Brandon from a couple weeks ago. This is your cherry popping of a co-hosting event of the podcast. So congratulations. And what I like to do is, you and I, you probably up there with a few other coaches in the league. You and I talk a lot about, fantasy and the league and what's going on. So kind of treat it like, you and I are having a conversation. Others are listening, and, we'll go from there. Sound good?
Sounds good, Eric. Just go easy on me with you popping my cherry, okay?
Yeah, I'll try. I get a little aggressive every now and then. I'm a little rawr. I almost forgot. Will, I'll let you tell the fine people at home, who is this goddamn show brought to you by? Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
I totally blanked. I was about to do the Bryans.
Damn it. No, Brian's has shut down. They're no longer in business, the bastards. This...
We put them out of business.
I'll give you a hint.
Oh, my...
It is located in the Linwood establishment on Providence
It's the
Road.
best auto dealership in the freaking world, Eric. Harborough Auto.
There it is. Harborough Auto. Thank you, Wilma.
Wow.
So a couple
I
quick...
hope we don't lose our sponsorship.
I think we're going to be okay. Couple quick questions for you, Will. So... we all know that you are a full-blooded Rockdalian. You were born and raised in the good old village of Rockdale. Tell the good people maybe one good thing about Rockdale. The first thing that pops in your head.
One good thing.
Maybe it's harder than,
Eric, it's hard. I haven't lived there in 10 years now. I'm trying to...
You were born and raised there. You spent your first 18 years.
You learn how to jump fences with a high degree of success.
Okay, I like it. Can you tell us one bad thing about Rockdale? Maybe that's the same answer.
On the really rainy days, it's got that weird smell in the downtown area, maybe?
I'm familiar with that stench, sure. And maybe, lastly, one thing about both Rockdale and Riverdale that they have in common.
Parks?
Yes, they both have, there's a Rockdale Park, and there's the Riverdale Park. Excellent job. And you and I,
we'll go with that.
I'm a Riverdalian, you're a Rockdalian, and we became friends, and we didn't let the Rockdale and Riverdale rivalry get in the way. Every now and then, maybe we do, but nonetheless, let's move forward here. So, Will, before we kind of get into the show, anything in general that you would like to talk about or discuss? I'd like to give you the floor. You're kind of my guest, if you will, my guest co-host.
Eric, at this point in the season, things are definitely, they're starting to look pretty airtight, locked down, shut in the North Riverdale division. But I'll tell you, I think we got to spend a little time talking about this South Riverdale district. And it looks a little. This is looking wide open. So I think we need to spend a little time, maybe look at and analyzing this because there's three teams sitting at the top, and one other just outside of that, one game behind, and then and Solgo is still hanging around there. So I think maybe a little. We got to spend a little time analyzing this one.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, I think the North for a long time has been pretty much wrapped up, other than just determining who is actually the division winner, who gets the number one seed, things like that. But the South is still, pretty much wide open. So I'll tell you what, Will, let's table that and talk about that in the next upcoming segment. I do want to mention one thing. I made a reference last week that, you're the ethics manager, and I was going to maybe, do a couple things here on this show that might be borderline moral, if you will, such as, kicking mentally challenged folks out of certain private areas, a la Jillian's. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag because it's not going to happen. I had planned in the interactive segment that there's an establishment in St. Louis called Joe Buck's. We're all familiar with Joe Buck. He is one of the, unfortunately, the most well-known play-by-play announcers for both football, NFL, and Major League Baseball. He has a restaurant in St. Louis. I was going to actually call them and pretend as if I, recently went to the restaurant and inform them that at my visit at this restaurant there was a large, skinny African-American gentleman. While I was eating, he tapped me on the shoulder, and then he turned around and he faked mooned me. And I was going to let them know I was very offended by this. Obviously, we all know what I'm referring to, kind of what made Joe Buck a bit famous here in the Dynasty as far as the Randy Moss incident. I was going to kind of do that. I was going to be a silly, a lot of you guys out there, the few that still maybe listen, like it when I do something funny like that. Unfortunately, thank goodness, I did a couple test calls just to make sure that this establishment is answering their phone and is still up and running. And every time I call, nobody picks up. So I think they're still up and running, but apparently nobody picks up the phone there. So I'm not going to waste everyone's time and pretend like we're going to do it and then just have me call and no one pick up. So that's what it was going to be, which it won't be. But I guess, Will, what do you think about that? And would that have been a breach of ethics?
Absolutely not. I mean, if anything else, I feel that's in holding with the tradition of this podcast that we really have to do this. To make those types of phone calls and really call out people for who they are. Especially Joe Buck. I mean, for someone that's famous or infamous, if you would, among the dynasty here. We got. Please. I think the target is perfect. I think we should. I think we should still do it anyway.
I'll tell you what, I'll think about it, and if it doesn't happen on this show, I'll continue my research and see if maybe we can do it at a future time. In the meantime, let's get started, shall we?
Absolutely.
Now let's take a look into last week's results. Who kicked some ass? Who sucked?
All right, Will, so Week 12 actually saw all 6 of the favorites going into the game ended up winning, which was interesting. And let's get right into it. So the first game, actually a rematch of Dynasty Bowl 10. The result was not the same, though. The Hong Kong Cavaliers, they lost their 5th straight game. They dropped to 3-9. An interesting battle there. I was able to kind of come back from being down going into the Monday night game. Will, anything you want to add about this one?
Yeah, I definitely close match. I was watching this one pretty tightly throughout the weekend, and really, Eric, you got to say that Justin Forsett, saved the day for you with that serious performance there. 182 yards rushing with the two TDs. Certainly made for a strong performance and really saved the day for you there. I mean, take those 30 points away, and I mean, really, we're talking about a really tight game, potentially one swinging in the favor of one Matt Whiffen there, and obviously for his team, there's nothing much to looking forward to for him other than the draft next year and the massive stockpile of picks that he's racking up at this point.
Yeah, I was very happy with Forsett's performance on Monday night. I have to say he's definitely is the best waiver wire pickup I've had all season. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, and when this came out of the ethics / I also, my department doubles up with it in the stat area, but with the 9th straight win for you there, that Scoopers, now you put yourself first team in the playoffs for this year. Also, 5th straight season, making the playoffs, 8th time in the franchise postseason, so obviously most all time, but helps that you're the founder with that one. But certainly strong, another strong year out of you. And as you say always at the beginning of the year, you're going to be in the playoffs. It's what you do when you get there that's the problem. So hopefully. You'll end the season strong there, but good numbers coming out of this week for you.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat there, Will, and thank you for that. I wasn't aware I clinched a playoff berth already, so that's good to know. Not something I'm not unfamiliar with, and you do want to know what something I am unfamiliar with, though, Will? You want to know what that is? That you want to know?
Go, please. Share. Enlighten me.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with caressing the Dynasty Championship trophy because I haven't won it. I haven't won it, Will. So that's great, and Jim Dandy that I've made the playoffs the last 5 years, and blah, blah, blah. You've all heard it 90,000 times before. You all get sick and tired about hearing about it, but it is what it is. So let's move on, shall we?
We'll move on. I'm sorry, I didn't want to open up that wound for you.
It's okay. It's a scar that continuously reopens, and every year in the playoffs it gets opened up again, which I'm sure will happen again. The question is, will it happen in round 1 or the Dynasty Bowl 11? That is the question. Anywho, in a battle which had a lot of trash talking, Brutal gets the last laugh as they defeated VIP on Swole. Will, you only put up 91 points, but that was enough to get by the Satanists. And, Odell Beckham, by the way, did you see that catch, Will?
Fucking ridiculous.
Fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Fucking ridiculous. He does that in his warm-ups, too. So, do you think that was the best catch you've ever seen?
Pretty much. I mean, and the only it really just beats the one-handed catch that Randy Moss made over Revis that one game back in the year. And the only reason Odell Beckham gets is because he's going backwards, falling away from the ball, still one-handed, and brings it to his chest with one hand. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. Disgusting play.
There's been a lot of crazy, awesome catches. Like, I think of that Antonio Freeman on the Packers where he basically caught it with his back and rolled over and it fell on him. But I think that this catch...
And kept on running for the touchdown, too.
Right. I think that this catch, though, by Beckham is... I mean, this one took, like, skill. Like, it wasn't, like, fluky luck or anything like that. Like, this one was fucking ridiculous because he got held and penalized. It was pass interference. He jumped up in the air one hand with 3 fingers, caught it, and stayed in back. Like, it was skill. It wasn't, like, a fluke. It was pretty amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, anyway, Beckham and the Pig Newtons, they... were able to stay alive here in beating the Boston Loggers. The Bubba Gump Shrimp, they stopped their 2-game skid and got a win over Soglo. And in the highest scoring game of the week, Handy Quacks, 165, Yellow Peril, 126. So,
I was watching that one pretty closely, too. And, obviously, the thing that, definitely the thing that, Zach had going for him is obviously had Breeze in that late week game there. Obviously, and it sucks for Yellow Power to put up something like that score in 126. You normally expect to win, but just running into the wrong team at the wrong time.
Right, which is something actually Peril hasn't really done at all this year. He's had an extremely easy schedule. And he's been playing, the teams that haven't put up a lot of points when he plays them. So, we talked about this last week on the show, Bubba and I, that his schedule is getting really hard, and this is maybe, proof of, of the first outcome of that. Of course, it always helps when your kicker puts up 20 points, like Parkey did for Handy Quack. So, and speaking of that, actually, Peril put up the most amount of points he's put up all year here this past week, and he obviously got a loss. So it's kind of quirky and funny sometimes how that happens. Maybe not funny for Jay Young.
I think that's called fantasy gods, Eric.
Yes, indeedly do, da, William. Yes, indeedly do, da. VIP, the son of a bitch, is what he is. He is now all-time 21-21. He's now 500 all-time. He's obviously won his, the championship in his first year. However, we've seen that before. We've seen a douchebag called Glenn Stacy, the Heritage Park Hunters. Will, you unfortunately may remember this gentleman. He won the championship in his first year, believe it or not. And then he just went downhill all from there. Not only from a fantasy standpoint, but as a human, he went downhill. Anywho.
This one kind of shocks me a little bit about Heaney. I mean, obviously, he's someone who, when you watch him coming out of the draft, every year, it doesn't look like he's putting together that bad of a team. But yeah, the results are, kind of shocking. I mean, obviously he's got the trophy. Obviously you and I can't say that. But really 21-21 is really a shocking number.
There's a lot of teams.
Like I said,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I hear where you're going with that, and there's actually this. I'm glad you brought this up because there's a lot of teams that are actually like hovering the 500. I'm bringing it up right now, and I'm looking at Chris, who's 21-21. Yellow Peril's only like 5 games over 500 all time. Soul Glow is 2 games below 500. Zach is 1 game over 500. Will, you're 3 games below 500. Brandon's exactly 500. So almost pretty much half the league all time, from an all-time standpoint, are right around like almost the same amount of wins and losses. And then it kind of goes to the question as well, which, again, of course, we may be biased, and some of you past champions may obviously have your own opinion about this. But it's the old age-old question, like, would you rather be competitive and good, or close to good, or make the playoffs, or be in the hunt almost every year, or would you we've seen there's several teams that we can think of who has won one championship, and either maybe they're in it sometimes, but mostly they're not, or you know what I mean. So like, what's your opinion?
As someone who's been chasing this trophy now for 10 years, not the 11 like you, but for 10. I feel like I really at this point I really would take the trophy. I really would. I think I would.
Well, considering what I did this year from a strategic standpoint, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. So, and now, what else do I want to say? So, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, Coach Matt Whiffen. Well, first, let me ask you, Will, what do you think of when you think of the Hong Kong Cavaliers as a franchise?
Well,
in a sentence.
Mediocre at best.
Okay.
But
I'm just
trophy.
Sure, exactly.
Trophy.
So mediocre
with one trophy.
Mediocre with one trophy. Okay, that's fair. I think maybe Matt would agree.
Which is better than what I am, which is mediocre with no trophies.
True. Matt
got that going for him.
Exactly. And what else he has going for him is he became the quickest team in Dynasty's history to get 50 all-time losses.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's it. But didn't he have a 3-year stretch where he was going 5-11 for 3 years straight?
5 and 10-ish, and I think 6 and 9, and obviously then he won the big game. By the way, I forgot to play the music, so we'll start it up here. Yeah, he's had a bunch of bad years, but he had one of the best years ever in the Dynasty's history, arguably maybe the best. So again, as you said earlier, he's got that going for him more than you and I can say for at least for that 1 year or whatever. So. And to put up the 50 losses in perspective, Bubba Gump, Coach Bub Palucha, he's at 49 losses all time, and he has like 30 more games played. So it's been a bit of a, I guess disappointing tenure for Matt in most senses, although except for the obvious, which is he is a fucking champion, and he set himself up, for next year as well. So. Again, it's just all matter how you look at it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit. We alluded to this earlier. let's talk a little bit about the South Riverdale division. We'll break it down just a tad. We did this last week from a scheduling standpoint. Let's just give an update here. So, with Brutal and Will, your win, and Phil's win, Yellow Peril lost. So, Brutal, Rockdale Senators, and Yellow Peril are all in a three-way tie for the lead in the South, all at 7-5. Obviously, the first tiebreaker is points, and Brandon has a lot of more points than you guys by quite a bit. So he's currently in the lead. He holds the tiebreakers. Will, you have more points than Jay Young by it looks like about 39, 40 points. So that's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then Phil is still right there. He's a game behind you guys at 6-6. And from a point standpoint, he's kind of right. He's a little bit behind Jay Young, but not by much. I guess Brian is still technically alive, although I don't really think he's got a real shot at it. So it's gonna be a crazy race the last 3 games. And as I mentioned last week in Bub, I think that the Jay Young Senators game in the last week of the season is probably going to mean something. I'm playing Brandon this week, so Will, thoughts about what's going on here in the South?
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely tight, and I mean, you're probably looking at a 4-man race here for the division title, and
yeah.
Obviously with with the rest of the schedule, it's I was taking a look at this for this upcoming week. Obviously, I think I've got maybe a little bit of an edge this week, with Brutal and Yellow going up against yourself and Bum.
Right.
So obviously, I think and then me going up against Ben.
Yep.
Obviously, a little bit of an advantage there, but if anything, last year taught me that absolutely, what the schedule lining up means absolutely nothing, because you can have the best team and still lose 4 straight to miss a playoff. So
Will,
certainly.
And Will, why is that?
Why is what? Because the fantasy guys can screw you over just as much as they can help you.
There it is.
Now, let's take a look into the future with next week's matchups.
All right, so lucky week 13. We're all going to be playing the only team left that you haven't played yet. So let's talk about it. So I'm going to be playing Brutal Deluxe. I'm 11-1, going up against 7-5 Brutal Deluxe. Couple of division leaders at the time. VIP 3-9 going up against 4-8 Soul Glow. 3-9, I think he is. No, sorry, 5-7 Loggers up against the 7-5 Senators. 9-3 Handy Quacks against the 6-6 Pig Newtons. 7-5 Yellow Peril against the 10-2 Bubblegum Trip. And the 0-12 Transgender Satanists up against the 3-9 Hong Kong Cavaliers. And I will just point out, Will, before I ask you for maybe your opinion of a game of the week and any other thoughts, that if Johnny C loses this upcoming week to Matthew, then he would actually tie a Dynasty record of the longest losing streak ever in the Dynasty at 13. I think Jay Young had that last year. So, what do you think? Any thoughts regarding these upcoming slate of games, and what do you think for a game of the week?
Yeah, obviously, you got to look at. You never want to put 2 teams with a losing record as a game of the week, but obviously, if there's an opportunity for John to get a win, I mean, that would probably be about the closest thing to it. So obviously, for his own pride and, to avoid that record, I mean, you got to put that, maybe as, maybe not necessarily the game of the week, but, one to definitely watch. And the game of the week, really, it could be you and Brutal in this one, only because, Brutal's got a tough match up here with you, but, obviously you've got, very similar to your team, built on the, strong quarterback, wide receiver combination. So obviously he's got, that might be the one to watch. I mean, could be high scoring there. I would say, Johnny and Maddie for the toilet bowl, and then maybe for you and Brutal kind of see who can come out on the top quarterback matchup here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's, as far as John is concerned, you're right. I mean, having Matt this week is certainly an opportunity to finally, get a win and hopefully avoid a lot of embarrassment. Well, not real embarrassment, but from a fantasy standpoint, embarrassment.
Perceived embarrassment.
Exactly. Which, by the way, he has not locked in the pizza buying yet. Technically speaking, he has not locked it in. If he loses this week and Chris wins, I believe he has locked it in. But technically, they could still end in a tie if John goes on a 3-0 spree and Chris loses the last one. So, but it's getting pretty close. Although
that would be a very harsh fantasy god, judgment right there if that happened.
If John had to buy the pizza? Is that what you mean?
No, if Chris if he went on that kind of a losing streak,
right.
Johnny went on that kind of a winning streak, that would be a serious fantasy god intervention.
They play each other in Week 14 the next week, so that might mean something. I mean, more than likely at this point. I mean, Jesus Christ, John's looking like he's going 0-15 at this point, so obviously he's kind of probably mentally determined that he's probably buying the pizza. But in the other division, Matt, and I think Matt's only a game behind Soul Glow, so it's really between them, I think, as far as who's going to buy the pizza there. And I know Matt's done it in the past. I don't think Brian has yet, so I'm sure Brian wants to try to avoid that. So still things to try to fight for, still things to try to win. So Will, let's take the reins away and let Bubba give us a little bold prediction, shall we?
Let it go.
Paul Palucci with your bold prediction of the week. The Costanza brothers will go 1-1 this week, Week 13. And Coach Whiffen will lose his 6th game in a row. So go ahead and mull that one over, fucker.
We interrupt this broadcast to remind you that you can get all of the latest Dynasty updates by following the Riverdale Gazette on Twitter. The Riverdale Gazette Twitter page. Don't be left behind.
All right, Will, so this is pretty much the end of the show. Before we kind of completely wrap things up here, you're a papa. I'm a papa. We both have children. You have a few more than I do. But my question, I guess, is at some point, I mean, as we all know, the Dynasty is going to live way longer than all of us. We're just the original. We're the transgender. No, we're the original members here. It's kind of like the Earth, right? Founding fathers. Yeah. There you go. But it's kind of like the Earth, right? Like, obviously, I mean, the Earth is going to last a lot longer than any of us, and the Dynasty is going to do the same. And someday our children is going to take over the league. And who knows what's going to happen from here. But my question for you, Will, is at some point in life, both my and your children, and maybe some of you out there as well, whether you have them yet or not, are going to come to you and they're going to say, hey, you've been in the best fantasy football league ever. Via your experience, what do I need to know about fantasy football? Like, what should I know going in? What is going to be your answer, Will, to say your oldest son?
No, that's a great question, Eric. I'd have to say, just don't take it week by week and matchup by matchup, and that's all you can do because it's truly a flip of the coin, and it can go any way. So and have fun. That's all you got to do.
I like it. Okay, that's fair. I think not that you've asked, but I think what I would say is something along the lines of, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, how much knowledge you know. I mean, well, but in a way it does. I don't. I gotta think.
I thought we already determined that it was 70% knowledge and 30% fantasy.
And that's right. I think that's more of where I was trying to go, which I wasn't starting to answer correctly. But so I stopped myself because I didn't like where I was going. But yes, I think it would be somewhere along the lines of that. Like, hey, all you can do is try to maximize that 30% that you have control of, or 20%, whatever it is. If you maximize that, then you have the best chance of winning. You have a 30% chance of winning over maybe someone who's only maximized the 23% instead of the 30%. And even if somebody has 23% that over your 30%, they could still win over your 30%, and so forth. Someone may win with 5% over 30%. It's not. You put in the effort, you put in the time, you think you know, not that I know more than a lot of any of you guys out there, but, you think you know a lot, and all you're doing is you're trying to maximize the allotted, eligible amount that you have control of. I think I would, and then by then they'd probably be bored like how you all are and would have taken off and never want to play fantasy again.
Wow. Insightful. And hopefully, either one of your children will win a trophy
before me.
So, in less time than it's taken you.
Yeah, that would be.
Hopefully, it takes less than 11 years.
That would be nice, and hopefully, it will be the 11th year is the charm. But we don't know, do we? Probably not. And next year is, next year I'm going to compete. I'm going to say that right now. But we've talked about enough about me. I'd like to turn these things more on the other coaches out there. But it's hard to do. You're talking about your team, and the next thing you know, you like talking about it. You know what I'm saying. Anywho, I'd like to thank everyone listening and participating. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy Turkey Day. It's actually a nice little 3-game slot of football games on Thursday, which should be fun. My name is Commissioner Scooper.
And this is Dynasty Ethics Manager Will QD Young.
And we're going to be off next week, but Bob and I will return 2 weeks from now for our final regular season show, believe it or not.
Woo!
Yes, in that show we're going to announce the candidates for the draft pick of the year, MVP of the year, and the best and worst trades of the year. Keep in mind that all those are just for fun. There's no longer awards or titles or anything, just for fun. And in addition to that, we'll be welcoming on our second WWE superstar to the show. With that said, good luck to everyone in weeks 13 and 14. Over and out!
Woo!